When Russia and North Korea signed a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement in June 2024, many believed it would be a powerful military alliance that could change the global power landscape. However, the agreement quickly turned into one of Russia's biggest strategic blunders. Instead of military might, thousands of North Korean troops sent to Ukraine brought chaos, outdated equipment, and severe shortages. The alliance exposed the weaknesses in both countries' military capabilities and showed how Kim Jong-un skillfully exploited Putin's desperation to turn a seemingly empowering agreement into a costly mistake that would change international relations and military cooperation around the world. June 2024 agreement details. The treaty between Russia and North Korea, signed as a landmark agreement, was designed to reshape their bilateral relations and alter the global strategic landscape. Its core components included a mutual defense clause, cooperation in healthcare and medical education, plans for a road bridge across the Tumen River, and mechanisms for alternative trade settlements. Kim Jong-un, in a show of confidence, referred to the agreement as an alliance, calling Russia North Korea's most honest friend and ally. Russian President Putin, while more cautious in his language, described the treaty as a breakthrough document that would elevate bilateral relations to a new qualitative level. The military aspects of the treaty were the most ambitious, with both nations committing to immediately provide military assistance if either faced an armed invasion. Article 4 outlined this obligation, stating that each country would offer military and other assistance, with all means in its possession without delay, in line with Article 51 of the UN Charter, which recognizes the right to self-defense. This promise of immediate military support was a significant element of the agreement, aiming to strengthen the security posture of both nations. Economically, the treaty sought to circumvent Western sanctions that had been imposed on both countries. Putin envisioned developing alternative trade mechanisms that were independent of Western financial systems. This economic framework introduced a barter system where North Korean military provisions would be valued in rubles, with payment made through goods like food and resources. Additionally, the treaty called for the implementation of alternative financial settlement systems, further distancing the countries from Western control. The agreement also held promise for collaboration in sensitive areas like nuclear energy and space programs. Article 10 specifically outlined plans for peaceful nuclear energy cooperation, signaling Russia's willingness to assist North Korea in developing its nuclear capabilities. However, this ambitious economic collaboration faced immediate difficulties. Russia's own deteriorating economy and foreign exchange situation raised doubts about its ability to meet the financial commitments outlined in the treaty, threatening the success of the partnership from the start. Despite these challenges, the treaty's initial vision held the potential to reshape the dynamics of international relations between Russia, North Korea, and the broader world. North Korea's military deception. Behind the facade of military cooperation, North Korea's contribution to Russia's war effort quickly revealed a series of significant operational deficiencies, casting a harsh light on the gap between the promised capabilities and actual performance. While the agreement between the two countries suggested that North Korea would provide crucial military support to Russia, the reality on the ground exposed severe limitations in both personnel and equipment. One of the most glaring issues was the outdated artillery systems provided by North Korea. These systems were primarily based on Soviet-era designs and showed significant limitations in combat effectiveness. The artillery shells supplied to Russia were decades old, many dating back to the 1970s and 1780s. Quality control tests revealed troubling issues with these systems, including inconsistencies in the amount of gunpowder in the shells and compromised sealing covers that allowed moisture to seep in, further reducing their reliability in the field. The personnel sent to fight alongside Russian troops were mostly young conscripts, many in their teens or early 20s, rather than seasoned veterans. These soldiers faced a range of challenges that severely hindered their ability to contribute effectively. Most had no prior combat experience since the Korean War in the 1950s, and their training had been limited to mountainous terrain, making them ill-prepared for Ukraine's flat battlefields. Furthermore, the language barriers between the North Korean and Russian forces created significant communication problems. To make matters worse, widespread malnourishment among the troops left them physically unfit for the demands of battle. The equipment issues went beyond artillery. The reliability of North Korean military hardware quickly became apparent during engagements on the battlefield. Previous incidents, such as a deployment to Yeonpyeong Island, demonstrated severe operational flaws. In those encounters, less than 50% of fired shells hit their intended targets, and approximately 25% of those that did reach their targets failed to detonate. The same issues were observed in recent deployments to Ukraine, where artillery rounds caused damage to Russian weapons and even injured their troops. Ukrainian Defense Intelligence reported that half of the artillery sent from North Korea, dating back to the 1970s and 1980s, was non-functional. The remaining equipment was found to be in poor condition, requiring extensive inspection and restoration before it could be used. These reliability problems were compounded by poor manufacturing standards, which were evident in defective casting quality and improper maintenance procedures. Despite North Korea maintaining one of the largest conventional militaries in the world, these operational failures exposed the reality behind the regime's propaganda. The deployment of such a large contingent of North Korean ground forces abroad for the first time unveiled critical weaknesses that had previously been hidden from the international community. Ultimately, the much-anticipated military partnership between Russia and North Korea revealed that the North Korean military's capabilities, far from being an asset, were fraught with inefficiencies and limitations. What had been portrayed as a powerful alliance soon became one of Russia's greatest strategic miscalculations, with North Korea's weaknesses playing a pivotal role in the failure of their cooperation. Economic impact on Russia. The economic impact of this partnership has been particularly severe for Russia. What was initially intended as a way to strengthen its military position, especially in Ukraine, has instead severely undermined Russia's economic stability. The financial burden of supporting North Korean troops, combined with the increasing international sanctions, has placed immense strain on Moscow's already fragile economy. As Russia grapples with the consequences of its military involvement, the hidden costs of this desperate alliance with North Korea are becoming more evident, affecting both its economic standing and global position. The alliance, once seen as a potential advantage, has instead compounded Russia's difficulties, leading to a significant financial and strategic setback. One of the most immediate consequences of the alliance is the drain on Russia's resources. The country's military sectors are facing significant operational challenges, struggling to integrate North Korean support while its construction and agricultural industries experience critical labor shortages. Many workers have been diverted from these vital sectors to support military operations, further exacerbating Russia's economic difficulties. To maintain the alliance, Russia has been forced to increase its oil shipments to North Korea. In early 2024, over 1 million barrels were delivered to the isolated nation, depleting valuable energy resources that could have been sold at market prices to other buyers, further straining Russia's economy. This economic burden has been intensified by the international sanctions imposed in response to the military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. The partnership has triggered a series of punitive measures, including the freezing of U.S. assets for Russian oil shipping companies, a ban on transactions with the U.S. financial system, and restrictions on trade with American entities. Western nations have coordinated sanctions specifically targeting the military cooperation between the two countries. These sanctions have focused on entities based in Russia that are involved in military transfers, companies shipping oil and gas to North Korea, and foreign trade organizations facilitating the bilateral exchanges. As a result, Russia's already fragile economic situation has worsened, with limited access to global financial markets and a shrinking pool of trade partners. The financial impact on Russia has been profound. While North Korea has earned up to $5.5 billion through arms deals with Russia, Moscow's returns on this investment have been far less clear. Russia's military, already weakened by over 700,000 casualties in the ongoing war, faces not only a mounting human cost, but also a major economic crisis, compounded by a severe labor shortage. The financial strain is evident, and the country's economy is increasingly burdened by the costs of the war and its military cooperation with North Korea. Beyond direct financial losses, the partnership has led to significant diplomatic and strategic setbacks. Russia's reliance on North Korean military support has resulted in increased international isolation, tarnishing its reputation in global markets. Relationships with traditional trading partners have been strained, and the military's effectiveness has been compromised due to the unreliable equipment provided by North Korea. These weaknesses have further deepened Russia's economic and geopolitical challenges. In response to mounting pressures, the economic relationship between Russia and North Korea has evolved into a complex barter system. This arrangement, largely operating outside traditional financial channels, has helped Russia avoid some of the worst effects of sanctions but has also created new vulnerabilities. By relying on this unconventional system, Russia has reduced its ability to generate hard currency through conventional trade, putting even more strain on its economy as it continues to grapple with the financial fallout from its military involvement in Ukraine and its partnership with North Korea. Kim's strategic gains. While Putin's military gamble faltered, Kim Jong-un orchestrated a masterful strategy that secured unprecedented gains for North Korea. Through his calculated cooperation with Russia, Kim achieved a series of strategic objectives that not only enhanced his regime's position domestically but also elevated North Korea's standing on the global stage. One of the key successes of the partnership was the transfer of advanced military technology from Russia to North Korea. This collaboration significantly advanced North Korea's weapons capabilities. Through the alliance, Kim secured crucial technology, including cutting-edge missile and satellite systems, nuclear-related technical knowledge, and expertise in drone warfare and modern battlefield electronic warfare capabilities. These transfers have allowed North Korea to expedite its weapons development programs, bypassing the constraints imposed by international sanctions that previously hindered its progress. On the international front, Kim's strategic alliance with Russia has reshaped North Korea's diplomatic standing. The partnership has provided North Korea with essential protection through Russia's permanent membership in the UN Security Council. Moscow's support has been instrumental in shielding North Korea from further sanctions by vetoing measures against the regime, helping to dismantle UN monitoring panels, and backing North Korea's sanctions violations. This political support, combined with the financial benefits from arms deals, has allowed North Korea to generate up to $5.5 billion, bolstering the regime's resources and helping sustain its operations despite international isolation. Domestically, Kim Jong-un has skillfully leveraged the partnership to strengthen his control over the population and legitimize his rule. The alliance serves as powerful propaganda, reinforcing North Korea's status as a full-fledged nuclear state and bolstering Kim's image as a central figure in the new Cold War axis. It also sends a strong message about North Korea's reduced dependence on China, signaling a shift in its foreign policy priorities. Furthermore, the partnership has allowed Kim to adopt a more aggressive stance towards South Korea, amending the North's constitution to officially designate South Korea as a hostile state, which marks a significant departure from the previous stance on reunification. Beyond the immediate military and diplomatic gains, the partnership with Russia provides North Korea with valuable operational experience. North Korean troops deployed in Ukraine are gaining hands-on combat experience, while also collecting critical data about Western defense systems. This battlefield intelligence, combined with the technological support from Russia, positions North Korea to modernize its conventional forces, all while maintaining its nuclear deterrent as a key pillar of its defense strategy. In conclusion, Kim Jong-un has effectively turned what initially seemed like military support for Russia into a comprehensive strategic advantage for North Korea. Through this partnership, Kim has secured technological, diplomatic, and domestic gains that not only strengthen his regime's position, but also shift the balance of power in the region and on the global stage. What began as an alliance with Russia to assist in the conflict in Ukraine has, for Kim, evolved into a much more significant and beneficial geopolitical maneuver. Putin's miscalculation. In stark contrast, Putin's decision to deploy North Korean troops highlights a major miscalculation in his strategy. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte aptly described the move as a sign of growing desperation, emphasizing the deep flaws in Putin's judgment. What was initially intended to reinforce Russia's military efforts turned into a glaring display of vulnerability, further isolating Moscow and exposing the strategic errors that have compounded its challenges in Ukraine. While Kim Jong-un capitalized on the partnership for significant gain, Putin's missteps have only worsened Russia's position both militarily and geopolitically. Faced with more than 600,000 casualties and a weakening offensive, Putin was increasingly desperate for military support. This dire situation led to a fateful decision to turn to North Korea, one of the few remaining allies willing to provide direct assistance. The Russian military's deteriorating position forced Putin to make a series of hasty choices, including accepting untested foreign troops, compromising the integrity of command structures, relying on outdated weaponry, and diminishing efforts at domestic mobilization. However, Putin's evaluation of North Korea's military capabilities proved to be a disastrous miscalculation. The deployment of approximately 10,000 North Korean troops to the Kursk region, which was initially seen as a potential lifeline for Russia, exposed critical weaknesses in the North Korean forces. The Russian leadership had expected elite special forces and modern artillery support, but what they received were untrained personnel armed with outdated systems. Instead of seamless integration, language barriers created significant coordination problems, and North Korean soldiers, who lacked any recent combat experience, struggled to adapt to the demands of modern warfare. The impact of this flawed deployment on Russian military operations was immediate and severe. The integration of North Korean forces created a multitude of operational challenges. Communication breakdowns between Russian and North Korean troops led to serious concerns about friendly fire incidents, while the differing tactical approaches and military doctrines further complicated coordination. Russian commanders found themselves grappling with soldiers who were unfamiliar with Russian equipment, and limited joint training exacerbated the difficulties. Despite attempts to quickly train the North Korean forces, their lack of preparedness became evident as the complexities of the modern battlefield proved too much for them to handle. Putin's desperation for military support led him to overlook essential factors that ultimately undermined his strategic objectives. By deploying North Korean troops, he not only failed to meet his immediate military needs, but he also introduced new vulnerabilities into Russia's command structure and battlefield effectiveness. This decision revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of modern warfare requirements and the complexities involved in multinational military cooperation. What was intended as a tactical advantage quickly turned into a debilitating mistake, with long-lasting consequences for Russia's military position in Ukraine. International response. This blunder, however, has not gone unnoticed. The international response to the Russia-North Korea military partnership has been swift and strong, with the global community taking unprecedented diplomatic and economic actions. Foreign ministers from 11 nations, including the G7 members Australia and South Korea, issued a joint statement condemning the military cooperation in the strongest possible terms. This unified stance highlights the far-reaching implications of the alliance, signaling that the consequences of Russia's decision extend well beyond their borders, affecting regional and global security. In response to this growing military collaboration, Western nations, led by the United States, took swift action. The U.S. Treasury Department imposed targeted sanctions on both Russia and North Korea. These measures primarily focused on North Korean banks and military officials, Russian oil shipping companies, and alternative financial networks that facilitate bilateral trade between the two nations. The sanctions froze the U.S. assets of the designated entities and prohibited their transactions with the American financial system. The European Union aligned with these measures, further consolidating the Western response to the military partnership and signaling a coordinated effort to isolate Russia and North Korea economically. In Asia, South Korea's reaction has been particularly forceful. President Yoon Suk-yeol warned of the potential for arms transfers to Ukraine if North Korean troops remain stationed in Russia. South Korea's government responded by blacklisting 11 key individuals from North Korea's military leadership and sanctioning 15 entities that facilitated the military cooperation between the two countries. Additionally, South Korea enhanced its military readiness, strengthening regional security measures. Japan, sharing similar concerns, expressed grave concerns about the military deployment and joined South Korea in reinforcing trilateral cooperation with the United States. This new alignment marks a significant shift in regional security dynamics, with these nations intensifying their efforts to counter the growing military alliance. At the United Nations, the situation has revealed deep divides within the international community. Russia's veto of a March 2024 resolution aimed at extending the UN panel of experts' mandate was a crucial moment. This panel, established after North Korea's second nuclear test in 2009, had been instrumental in monitoring violations of international sanctions. In a surprising turn, China chose to abstain from voting on the resolution rather than supporting Russia's veto. This abstention reflects China's complex position. While maintaining its alliance with North Korea, China is also concerned about regional stability and is cautious about escalating tensions. China's approach highlights its desire to preserve economic ties with Western nations, avoid direct involvement in military cooperation, and prevent further escalation in the region. The developments at the UN Security Council have significantly undermined its ability to address the growing threat posed by the Russia-North Korea partnership. Russia's blocking of investigations into weapons transfers and troop deployments has led to a shift in enforcement mechanisms. In response, like-minded countries have coordinated through alternative channels, such as the G7, to maintain pressure on both Russia and North Korea. The international community's response to the Russia-North Korea alliance has evolved into a multi-layered approach, combining diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, and enhanced security cooperation. This coordinated action represents the most comprehensive response to a bilateral military partnership since the Cold War era. It reflects the global community's determination to address the geopolitical challenges posed by this growing alliance and to prevent the further destabilization of the international order. Military performance analysis. However, the broader international efforts are not the only area revealing critical shortcomings. Recent battlefield data has exposed severe operational failures in the Russia-North Korea military cooperation, shedding light on the systemic issues undermining their joint military operations. As combat operations continue, it's clear that there is a widening gap between the promises of the alliance and the harsh realities playing out on the ground. This stark contrast highlights not only the failure of the alliance in military performance, but also emphasizes the challenges the international community faces in confronting the alliance's broader implications. One of the most glaring issues is the underperformance of North Korean military equipment. A detailed examination of missile deployments between December 2023 and February 2024 showed that nearly 50% of North Korean missiles lost their program trajectories and exploded mid-air. Ukrainian prosecutors, analyzing the debris of 21 of the 50 North Korean ballistic missiles, found consistent reliability issues, highlighting a critical weakness in the equipment supplied by North Korea. Performance data across other military hardware reveals troubling patterns, with ballistic missiles experiencing mid-air explosions in about 50% of launches, artillery systems facing an 80% failure rate in target accuracy, and combat vehicles showing a 40% operational readiness rate, raising concerns about their ability to function effectively in combat scenarios. Beyond equipment failures, the integration of North Korean forces into the Russian military structure has exposed several critical operational limitations. Despite being drawn from the elite Storm Corps, these troops have shown considerable weaknesses in real combat situations. Coordination between Russian and North Korean forces has been severely hampered by language barriers, with only one translator assigned for every 30 North Korean soldiers. This has led to communication bottlenecks, undermining the effectiveness of joint operations. Moreover, troop effectiveness has been further strained by unexpectedly high desertion rates, with 18 soldiers abandoning their posts before engagement. Medical treatment patterns have also raised concerns, as wounded North Korean soldiers are given preferential care, bypassing field hospitals in favor of direct transportation to major medical facilities in Kursk. The operational integration of North Korean troops into Russian military operations has created a series of unprecedented challenges. Commanders in the Russian military are struggling to maintain effective control over their troops. Approximately 10,000 North Korean soldiers deployed to Russia's Far Eastern Federal District have created several critical issues, including cultural and linguistic barriers affecting battlefield communication, differing military doctrines leading to tactical confusion, and limited combat experience among North Korean troops, making it difficult for them to adapt to the realities of modern warfare. Malnourishment has also impacted their physical performance, adding to the strain on the operation. These challenges have compounded the Russian military's already strained efforts, particularly with their continued reliance on infantry-led frontal assault tactics. This strategy has led to high casualty rates and diminished the effectiveness of specialized units like drone operators and special forces. Ukrainian defense officials report that Russian forces have been suffering more than 1,200 casualties per day, marking the highest rate of losses since the conflict began. Overall, the operational assessment reveals a stark contrast between the ambitious goals of the Russia-North Korea military partnership and its dismal battlefield performance. While North Korean troops have undergone some basic training in artillery, unmanned aerial vehicle operations, and infantry tactics, their actual combat readiness has been far below expectations. Even the provision of Russian uniforms and equipment has not been enough to address the fundamental issues of troop integration and operational effectiveness, leaving Russia in a precarious position as the conflict in Ukraine intensifies. Future implications. This operational failure, however, is just one aspect of the growing alliance between Russia and North Korea, which signals a significant shift in global geopolitics. Initially a temporary military arrangement, the partnership has now evolved into a strategic alliance, driven by North Korea's $5.5 billion in arms deals with Russia. This economic boost has given Pyongyang unprecedented leverage in the relationship, altering the power dynamics between the two nations. The alliance raises major security concerns in Northeast Asia, particularly in South Korea, due to the transfer of advanced military technologies such as re-entry vehicles, nuclear submarine technology, and combat aircraft. These technologies could significantly alter the military balance, especially with North Korea gaining large-scale combat experience in Russia, which strengthens its position against South Korea. Globally, the partnership is contributing to the formation of two distinct alliance systems, one led by the US protecting smaller states, and another driven by Russia and revisionist states with an anti-Western stance. This shift is weakening international institutions, as evidenced by Russia's veto of UN sanctions on North Korea and the growing ineffectiveness of global arms control measures. Regional power dynamics are also changing, with increased cooperation between Russia, China, and North Korea. This realignment has prompted Western nations to reassess their strategy, focusing on enhanced military cooperation, tighter sanctions enforcement, and counter-proliferation measures. There are concerns that Russia could provide nuclear technology to Iran, further destabilizing regional power balances. Additionally, new trade and financial mechanisms emerging from this alliance challenge Western sanctions, requiring a coordinated response to prevent further destabilization across Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia. These developments signal a profound shift in global security dynamics, as Russia's desperate search for military support deepens ties with revisionist states, while reinforcing Western alliances. The rise of alternative trade mechanisms challenges the effectiveness of traditional economic sanctions, and the long-term impact of this partnership is reshaping the balance of power in Northeast Asia and beyond. As these changes unfold, how will the international community respond to this new reality? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.